Well, keeping kids safer on social media. One big school district is taking action against tech giants, holding them accountable for the mental health crisis. Well, thank you for staying with us. I'm Erin LeBeau.
And I'm Tamsin Vidal. A lawsuit's been filed against TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Snapchat on behalf of Seattle schools. It accuses the social media companies of creating a public nuisance by targeting their products to children.
Yeah, the lawsuit blames them for worsening mental health and behavioral disorders, including anxiety, depression, disordered eating, and cyberbullying. So joining us now to talk about it is physical scientist turned social scientist and author of the new book, Life Beyond Likes, Isa Watson. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Tamsin and Erin.
All right, so Isa, let's jump right in and talk about, have you seen any evidence that shows that social media platforms are really harming kids?
Well, the short answer is yes. And it's important to remember that social media is actually not a connection platform. It's a consumption platform. And what these kids are doing is that they're consuming the perfected lives of a bunch of other people that they'll never meet. And, you know, the data also supports this. There was a 2019 UPenn study that revealed that adolescents have unrealistic expectations about what they should look like, what they should own, and what they should achieve. And it's resulted in unprecedented levels of anxiety in our adolescents. The average age of that study was 12. So the data is very clear that it is causing a lot of harm to teenagers.
Isa, what can schools do to address social media usage?
Well, you know, I think that the first thing that we have to consider is that there's a lot of mental health support that these kids need. And, you know, inserting mental health counselors in these schools is, you know, one option. And quite frankly, that was a response to the Seattle Public School lawsuit. The kids, you know, they didn't lash back, but they said, hey, okay, yes, sue TikTok, but we need mental health counselors in the school. And then, you know, quite frankly, banning phones, you know, during the classroom. There was a roundup from the Harvard Graduate School of Education that showed that allowing phones in the classroom negatively impacted test scores and long-term retention. And so if everyone just is off their phone, you know, there's a lot more focus and there's a lot less, you know, scrolling instead of paying attention in class.
So if kids are on social media, is there any one platform that is better or worse than the others for them?
Well, you know, I think we have to also remember that social media is built to keep people on the platform. We always say in the technology world, if you're not paying for the product, then you are the product. They make more money the longer you stay on the platform. And so I think all the platforms that are ad driven and ad based are contributing to this problem. But I would even go to call out Instagram as one of the biggest offenders. TikTok is actually creeping up there, but there's a lot of data that showed, you know, very detrimental effects to the mental health of young girls on Instagram from a lot of these unrealistic expectations they were consuming.
So what do you do? Can taking away social media from kids actually help them with their anxiety? And what's the best way to do that?
You know, I think that it's about a balance. You know, I'm not a social media abolitionist, as I say. I'm more of a, hey, we have to have a balance and make sure that we realize this is not the real world. You know, we have to invest in living our real lives. And so, you know, I think that there's for parents, a lot of parental controls, screen time limits, et cetera. For schools, there are actual controls that they can put in place so that kids are paying attention. But, you know, I think that, you know, it takes a village in some regard, but a lot of the parental controls and schools deploying some of those resources, I think would be immensely helpful.
So we know in many cases the kids are more savvy with technology than their parents. So how can parents have more control over what their kids are actually doing online?
You know, so there's app level restrictions and there's then kind of phone level restrictions. So with the phone level restrictions, you know, parents can actually limit and monitor screen time. And if the kid wants more screen time, they're like, can I get 15 more minutes on TikTok? Can I get 15 more minutes on my phone? You know, they can do that. But I see a lot of parents give in. But also, you know, offline, I think we have this conversation about social media, but we need to have a conversation also about what's the alternative. You know, promoting offline socialization is really important. I remember when I grew up, when my parents were tired of like the 6 kids being in the house and being loud, they were like, oh, it's time to play with your friends, you know? And so, but now these kids are just on iPads and just scrolling through TikTok, and the algorithms are really meant to be addictive and keep them on the platform. And then also just the last thing I'll say is know that your behavior on social media is taken and absorbed by your child. So when you're only posting like, hey, my child got first place here, hey, my child got, second place there, but you're not posting when your kid got fifth place, those nuanced, behaviors really impact our kids in a big way.
Such a good point. Isa, thanks so much for joining us today. It's always nice to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and for more information or to pre-order the book, Life Beyond Likes, go to isawatson.com.